Has it ever happened to you that you finish cleaning your entire house, turn away for 5 minutes, and there are already things out of place? It's frustrating, exhausting, and feels like a battle that never ends. But what if I told you that the problem isn't your family or the mess, but certain silent habits that sabotage your effort without you realizing it? Today I'm going to show you surprising and very uncommon methods to prevent your house from getting messy after you've left it spotless. I promise you more than one will seem really strange, but they work. Let's go. First, change the handles of the doors of the less important rooms to round knobs. Have you noticed that there are rooms in the house that get messy without anyone knowing how? Places like the guest room, the office, the laundry room, or even your own bedroom, where suddenly toys, papers, or clothes appear that no one admits to leaving there. The problem is not always the lack of order, but the easy access. That's why one of the strangest but incredibly useful tricks I have tried is to change the common door handles for round knobs, especially on those rooms that should remain intact most of the time. Why round knobs? Because they are much less practical to open quickly, especially for small children or people who have their hands full. When a child tries to open a door with a knob, and even more so if it is tightly adjusted or a little stiff, it feels uncomfortable or they simply get discouraged from entering. And here is where the real magic begins. If they don't enter, they don't mess up. It's not that you want to keep locking everything or be controlling all the time, but by reducing easy access, you indirectly control the movement of objects that end up out of place. Also, this small change has a curious effect on adults as well. When a door becomes less accessible, psychologically it is associated with a private space, more respected, and one thinks twice before entering just to leave a bag, a box, or a pile of dirty clothes for a while. Incredible, but true. If you combine it with leaving those doors closed most of the day, or even placing a discreet tape in the shape of a cross over the knob when the room has just been tidied, you create a visual and physical barrier that limits spontaneous messiness. Most of the time mess is not generated by necessity, but by habit because everything is available and open. And you can't imagine how this little detail reduces the endless rounds of picking things up in rooms that should be intact. It's one of those weird things nobody tells you in order manuals, but when applied, you notice how your house stays more stable, less loaded with things out of place, and with less daily effort. Another advantage is that you can do it progressively, room by room, without needing to spend much. A common round knob is inexpensive, easy to install with a screwdriver, and also, if you want to reinforce the effect, you can choose models without locks or with internal locks, to have full control over access without complicating yourself with keys. The key is to understand that keeping a house tidy is not only a matter of cleaning and picking up, but of controlling access and stimuli. If the entry points to disorder are limited, the rest flows with less effort. That's why this trick, although it may seem exaggerated or curious, is worth its weight in gold. Try it in one room for a week and you will be surprised by the change. Before continuing, as always I invite you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet and support the video with a like. As a gift, in the video description and the first pinned comment, I will leave you a daily organization planner for an impeccable home 100% free. I hope you take advantage of it. Second, put an ugly, old, and unappealing basket in each room. Just one. This method is as ridiculous as it is effective, and I'll tell you why. You don't need pretty baskets, nor decorated boxes, nor baskets with cute signs. What you need is an ugly, old basket, one that nobody wants to touch. It can be a used cardboard box, a faded plastic basket, or a half-broken bucket. The more unpleasant or out of place it looks in the room, the better. That's the psychological trick. Place one in each main room, living room, kitchen, kids' room, bathroom, patio, office. Wherever things constantly appear that no one picks up. That basket will become the punishment zone. Every object out of place that you find as you pass by, no matter whose it is, goes straight in there. Without warning, without asking, without giving explanations. The remote control on the table? Inside. A toy left in the hallway? Inside. A shirt on the chair? To the basket. And it stays there. Why does it have to be ugly and unpleasant? Because if you use a nice decorative basket, no one fears it. The object blends in, becomes part of the environment, and the basket ends up overflowing without sense. But when you put something ugly, uncomfortable looking, and even a bit annoying to the eye, everyone knows that this is not a good place for their belongings. The mere fact of knowing their things will end up there, in that visually unpleasant corner, creates discomfort and makes them think twice before leaving something lying around. And here comes the best part, the rules. There is only one way to recover what fell into the punishment basket, and that is going personally to get it. No one can return it for you, no one can take it out without being noticed. If someone wants to watch TV and the remote is in the basket, they have to go get it. If a child looks for their favorite toy and doesn't find it, you point to the basket. A dynamic is generated where the house begins to educate itself, because no one wants to endure the embarrassment of rummaging through that old basket. The most curious thing is that over time, the people in the house begin to self-regulate. The simple fear or discomfort of seeing their things mixed in there, along with crumpled papers, old socks, or empty wrappers, makes them get used to not leaving things out of place. Children, in particular, are very quick to adapt to this system because they see it as a subtle social punishment. Their favorite toy is not lost, it's punished. You can even raise the level of this dynamic by assigning specific days to empty it. For example, everything in the basket on Sunday night is donated, thrown away, or stored for a whole week. No one wants to see their things disappear because they left them lying around, so the incentive to avoid that fate is very high. Also, having a basket like this in each room prevents mess from spreading. When something is left lying around, you don't have to decide where it goes or go out of your way to tidy it up. You simply pick it up and toss it into that room's basket. This saves time, reduces mental effort, and allows you to maintain control without having to nag or beg. And the most powerful thing, no matter how many times you explain it, not everyone will understand immediately, but the visual discomfort and annoyance of losing quick access to their things will make everyone gradually change their behavior. It's not just a basket, it's a constant and visible reminder that in this house things have their place, and if not, they end up in the worst possible spot. It's simple, cheap, and tremendously effective. Believe me, this trick, ridiculous as it sounds, saves you more fights, arguments, and lectures than any other tidiness rule you try to enforce. And when you see someone shyly approaching to rummage through that ugly basket, you'll smile inside knowing the plan works. Third, place a visual or sound timer in your kitchen. I say this clearly, the kitchen is the heart of disorder in any home. No matter how spotless you leave it, it's enough that someone enters for a glass of water, a piece of fruit, or to look in the fridge for no reason for chaos to start again. The dangerous thing about this space is that since it's always in use, people feel it's okay to leave a dirty cup, a poorly rinsed plate, or a wrapper on the table. And this is precisely where this method, so simple and strange, completely changes the dynamic. Get a visual timer. It can be an hourglass, a kitchen timer, or even an app on your phone, although ideally it's something physical and visible. It doesn't matter how long it lasts, 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes. What matters is that every time someone including you enters the kitchen, they activate it immediately. And here's the rule, you can't leave until you've left at least one thing better than how you found it before time runs out. If you entered for a spoon and see a cloth out of place, you tidy it up. If there's a dirty cup, you put it in the dishwasher. If you see crumbs, you clean them. It's not about deep cleaning, but about fixing at least one thing. The timer works as a mental trigger. Time starts running, and in those seconds, your brain quickly detects what's out of place and corrects it without drama. The curious thing is that this system not only keeps the kitchen clean effortlessly, but it changes the attitude of those living in the house. When someone knows that upon entering they have to activate the timer and improve something, they automatically become more aware of the mess they create and the mess that already exists. And the best part is that since the time is short, no one complains. It's just seconds. No one can say they don't have time to put a glass in the dishwasher or wipe a table. And you can't imagine how this little habit, accumulated throughout the day, keeps the kitchen spotless almost without you noticing. Because what used to pile up wrappers, papers, cloths, food scraps now gets automatically corrected by every person who passes through. The best part is you can adjust the time depending on the task size. Entered to make coffee? Set it for 2 minutes. Just went for water? 30 seconds is enough. You can also make it a game with the kids. Whoever improves the most things before the sand runs out wins a small prize or point. It becomes a fun and educational routine without them feeling like they're doing chores. It's a subtle way to teach them to care for the shared space. Another advantage is that it reduces that feeling that the kitchen is a neutral space where everyone leaves things without caring. The timer establishes, silently but firmly, that everyone who enters has a minimum responsibility. And that changes the home culture. Soon you'll notice no one leaves wrappers on the counter because they know someone else will come in, see the paper, and get rid of it in seconds. And if someone tries to skip activating the timer, just remind them once, "Did you start the clock?" That's enough. People prefer to cooperate for 2 minutes than be seen as the one who doesn't respect the house rules. It's a simple, cheap, almost ridiculously simple method, but highly effective. The kitchen stays tidy because mess never gets to accumulate. Every visit fixes something, and when you multiply it by 10, 20, or 30 times a day, the kitchen is always reasonably clean without effort, fights, or having to chase anyone. And that, in a house with kids, visitors, or distracted adults, is worth its weight in gold. Fourth, hide a box with red adhesive labels. This is, no exaggeration, one of the strangest but most brutal strategies you can apply in your house if you really want to keep order long term. The mess doesn't always come from useful things, but from that silent accumulation of repeated objects, useless stuff, decorations nobody uses, old magazines, dried up pens, ownerless cables, forgotten clothes, and mysterious objects that appear again and again in different places. And since they don't seem so serious, you let them slide. Until one day the house is full of small meaningless things that take up space, get in the way, and dirty the look. To break that cycle, you just need a common box. It can be a shoebox, a little plastic container, whatever. Inside that box you will keep a single item, a pack of red adhesive labels. But not just any. They have to be red because this color communicates danger, warning, and immediate visual alert. And here comes the rule. Every time you find a repeated, useless, misplaced object or something with no reason to be there, a misplaced decoration, an ownerless cable, a broken toy, a notebook without pages, an old spoon, an empty box, whatever, you discreetly stick one of those red labels on it. You don't have to notify anyone, you don't have to ask, just mark it. The goal is not to fight with anyone or argue about what stays or what goes. The red label works as a silent warning. The object is marked visibly for everyone to see. And what happens next? Very simple. Any object that accumulates 3 red labels on 3 different days goes away. No negotiations. It gets donated, given away, thrown out, or sold, but it leaves the house. The power of this method is that it does not generate direct conflict. You don't have to argue whether that ugly vase deserves to be there or not. You mark it. If the next day it's still out of place, another mark. And if on the 3rd day it remains the same, it goes. It becomes an objective, visual rule without emotional baggage. Objects define themselves by their behavior. If nobody uses them, if nobody claims them, if nobody puts them away, then they aren't needed. Also, this system starts to create awareness in those who live with you. When they see a red label on their things, they know it's a warning. If they want to keep it, they must pick it up and put it in its place. If they don't, they already know its fate. And believe me, no one wants their things marked all over the house as if they were unwanted objects. The best part is that by reducing the number of useless or repeated items, the volume of mess generated automatically decreases. Because every extra thing takes up space, gets in the way of furniture, falls, mixes with other things, and ends up creating chaos. When you eliminate those elements, order stays longer and requires less effort. I also recommend using this system as a silent background cleaning. If every day you put 2 or 3 labels, without rushing, without notifying anyone, in a couple of weeks you will have eliminated dozens of objects that took up space without reason. And the best, without family arguments, exhausting deep cleanings, or having to justify everything you throw away. The important thing is not to break the rule. If an object has 3 labels, it goes. If you start making exceptions, you lose authority and the dynamic falls apart. The strength of this method lies in everyone knowing that once marked 3 times, there's no turning back. That's why it works. Because it imposes order without words, with concrete action and visible results. And as a final touch, you can keep that box of labels always at hand, but out of others' sight. It's your secret weapon against chronic mess. A stealthy method, without drama, but but ruthlessly effective to maintain real order, not just apparent. Because what looks tidy but is full of useless hidden things sooner or later explodes again. This method cuts that root once and for all. Fifth, use strong scents in tidy areas. This trick seems taken from a book of domestic superstitions, but it's more than proven in practice, and once you apply it, you notice how your home's dynamic changes without you having to say a word. It's about using strong and defined scents in the areas you want to keep tidy. And not just any scent, they must be smells the brain immediately associates with cleanliness, freshness, and control. Why does it work? Because, even if no one says it, we all avoid messing up a space that smells clean. It's instinctive. The smell acts as an invisible signal that tells the brain, everything is in its place here, better not touch anything. It's the same as when you enter a well-arranged clothing store that smells like new fabric, or a waiting room that smells of eucalyptus. You move carefully, lower your voice, and try not to leave anything out of place. Now imagine using that effect to your advantage in your own home. The secret is to use specific aromas for specific zones. For example, a homemade spray with cinnamon, lemon, and a touch of clove for the entrance of the house. It not only smells delicious, but that enveloping aroma makes anyone crossing the door feel like they are entering a cared-for space. People automatically take off their shoes, arrange their bag, or avoid leaving objects on the entry table. In the living room, I recommend lavender or rosemary. Lavender relaxes, but at the same time gives a feeling of clean and tidy space. You can place aromatic sachets inside cushions or spray the sofas before guests arrive. The trick is that the aroma is present before anyone uses the space. It's not about masking bad smells but about installing an atmosphere. For the kitchen, nothing better than a spray of white vinegar with citrus peels. This scent cleans the environment of greasy or leftover food smells, but also gives that feeling of a grandmother's kitchen clean, bright, and tidy. And without anyone saying it, you'll see how people stop piling dirty cups or bags on the countertop. In bedrooms and bathrooms, you can use essential oils of mint or eucalyptus. These aromas awaken the mind, refresh, and create that feeling of impeccable hygiene. When a room smells good, dirty clothes get picked up by themselves, beds get made, and objects get put away. No one wants to mess up a space that feels clean. And here's the most curious thing: when you start scenting freshly tidied zones, the order lasts longer. Because people unconsciously associate that smell with the visual sensation of order and automatically take more care. It's a subtle but very powerful conditioning. You can even make it part of your daily routine. When you finish tidying a room, spray the aroma you chose for that space. In less than a week, you'll notice the difference. You won't have to chase after the kids or remind your partner to put their things away. No one will want to be the one to break that pleasant atmosphere. And if you want to take it to another level, change the scents every so often. That way the brain doesn't get used to it and keeps associating the new smell with the idea of a cared-for space. For example, in winter use clove, orange, and cinnamon. In summer, lemon, basil, and mint. These little tricks turn your home into a space not just clean, but ordered by instinct. Don't underestimate the power of aromas. They are an invisible tool of environmental control. You don't need to shout, make signs, or control everything. Just by having the important areas smell like order, the home's dynamic adjusts itself. It's strange, yes, but it works. Try it and you'll see how even the messiest start to watch their movements. Sixth, ban empty flat surfaces. This trick is so subtle and so powerful that once you apply it, you wonder why you didn't do it before. Because if you notice, in every home without exception, empty flat surfaces become clutter traps. They are those spots that for some mysterious reason attract keys, papers, cell phones, supermarket receipts, loose coins, candy wrappers, and anything people carry in their pockets. And since they are empty, it seems like they're there just for that. That's why this method is so effective. It strategically forbids empty surfaces. How do you do it? Not with a sign or a sticky reminder. You do it by visually and physically occupying that space with a fixed decorative object. It can be a pretty tray, an indoor plant, a vase with dried flowers, a table lamp, a candle holder, or a small sculpture. The important thing is not so much the object itself, but that it visually occupies the center of that surface and gives it meaning. Because when a table or piece of furniture has a defined decorative center, people avoid messing it up. Why does it work? Because the human brain respects complete visual compositions. When a surface is empty, it looks incomplete and available. It invites you to leave things there. But when there is a decorative object in the middle, it creates a psychological boundary. It's as if that table already has an owner, as if that space already has an assigned function, and anything extra left there breaks the harmony. And nobody, not even the messiest, wants to be the one to ruin that. In practice, it works best when you choose objects with some volume. A leafy plant, a wide tray, or a tall lamp. The more physical and visual space the decorative object occupies, the less chance someone will leave a bunch of keys or an envelope on the table. Because there's no longer that tempting empty corner. Try it out at your house entrance, which is often the epicenter of domestic clutter. If you have an empty console or table there, it's where keys, receipts, masks, sunglasses, coins, and whatever else people carry accumulate. Place a decorative tray with a plant or a heavy ornament in the middle. You'll immediately notice keys no longer stay there, because there's no place to put them. The same goes for living room, dining room, or kitchen tables. Put a centerpiece that takes up space. It can be a bowl full of fruit, a large vase, or a wooden bowl. The key is that it leaves no dead space. If there's a lot of margin around, they will still end up putting things there. But if the decorative center imposes presence, the brain respects it. You can even do this with bedroom nightstands. A nice book, a scented candle, and a small vase are enough to keep that surface clear. What was once a place for chargers, papers, or empty cups becomes a small, neat visual composition no one wants to break. And the most curious thing is that by reducing available resting points to leave things, you automatically reduce clutter throughout the house. Because people, not having those places at hand, are forced to store their objects in the right places. Keys in their box, papers in their folder, chargers in their drawer. What seemed like just a decorative change is really an environmental control strategy to direct domestic order without imposing it authoritatively. That's why this method not only beautifies your home but keeps it clean and tidy effortlessly. Because in a house where there are no empty flat surfaces, there's nowhere to clutter. And that, day to day, is worth a lot. Try it, start with just one piece of furniture, and you'll see how clutter magically reduces. 7th, establish a crazy hour each day. This tip is so simple it seems like a game, but it has a transformative power few tidying techniques can match. We call it the crazy hour, because it's literally a moment of controlled chaos, energy, and quick movement that shakes up the daily routine at home and ends the clutter that piles up without anyone stopping it. The idea is very simple. Pick a fixed hour, which can be right before dinner, after a nap, or late afternoon. At that time, play a lively and energetic song that everyone knows and that lasts exactly 5 minutes. It's not a long or complicated hour, just 5 minutes to put the whole house in express cleaning mode. When the music plays, everyone in the house, big or small, grandma or child, must get up and pick up everything out of place in their assigned area. And note, there are no excuses or negotiations here. If you're tired, you have to do it anyway. It's a daily obligation. The key is brevity and consistency, just 5 minutes, but every day. What this crazy hour does is 3 crucial things. First, it reduces accumulated clutter. Because in just 5 minutes you can pick up piles of loose things that, if left for later, end up overflowing every corner. Second, it creates a collective habit that doesn't depend on reminders or scoldings. When the music plays, everyone knows what to do. Third, it makes cleaning fun and dynamic, instead of a boring or stressful chore. Also, the music acts as a trigger and motivator. There's something about the combination of rhythm, limited time, and collective energy that speeds up action and keeps focus. Nobody wants to be the one left behind when the song ends, and that little daily challenge creates an environment of cooperation and healthy competition in the family. This method also avoids the famous "I didn't have time" or "I didn't know when to clean." Because the crazy hour is set, predictable, and everyone looks forward to it. It becomes a moment when the house gets in tune, rooms become tidy again, and objects return to their places. And the best part is that since it's short and repeated, the effort doesn't feel heavy. If you have small children, you can add rewards or incentives to motivate them, a point for each thing they pick up, a star on the chore chart, or a small weekly prize. This way, you turn it into a game that excites and teaches responsibility through fun. And don't think this only works for the home. The crazy hour can also be useful in offices, workshops, or any shared space where clutter accumulates out of control. The trick lies in consistency, energy, and the right duration so that no one gets exhausted. In summary, this hour of music, movement, and tidying doesn't just clean the physical space, it cleans the routine and the excuses that prevent order from lasting. 5 minutes a day, every day, with rhythm and purpose, and you'll see how your home stays spotless without fights or exhaustion. Try it this week and you'll see how even the messiest become organization heroes when the music plays. Because the key is collective, brief, and consistent action. It's simple fun, and above all it works. 8th, use cool lights in tidy areas and warm lights in rest or play areas. This trick seems like it's from home psychology or advanced interior design, but I assure you it's one of the lesser-known secret weapons to control order without saying a single word. It's all based on how our brain reacts to light and the colors it projects in the spaces where we live. Cool lights, the kind that lean toward white or blue, like natural daylight, have a stimulating effect on the brain. They keep us alert, focused, and awake. That's why many offices use this type of lighting, because it helps people stay focused and productive. Applying this same logic at home can be key to keeping certain areas orderly. When you use cool lights in zones where you want order to prevail, like the kitchen, study, office, or even hallways, the atmosphere becomes more active, and the brain sends unconscious signals that the place should be clean and organized. It's a mental state of alertness that, without us realizing it, makes us not want to leave things out of place, not toss papers, or leave junk lying around. It's like a silent guardian watching order through the light. On the other hand, warm lights, the yellowish, soft kind, like sunset or candlelight, create a relaxed, comfortable, and calm atmosphere. They're ideal for rest areas, bedrooms, living rooms, or children's play areas. This type of light invites relaxation, disconnecting, and letting go of stress. As a result, it also tolerates a bit more clutter, because the environment is less alert and more permissive. So by separating these two types of lighting according to the space's function, you achieve an invisible but very powerful balance. Changing a couple of bulbs can make your kitchen feel like a serious, orderly workspace, while the living room transforms into a cozy space where no one feels pressured. This not only helps maintain order, but also improves the overall feel of the home. Spaces function better, are used intentionally, and the environment adapts to what you need at each moment of the day. Plus, it's a simple, cheap, and quick change. You don't need major renovations or investments. Just swap the bulbs or install lamps with the appropriate light temperature for each room. And if you want to go further, you can use dimmers or smart bulbs that change temperature depending on the time of day, enhancing this effect even more. The key is being aware of how light affects our behavior. When you apply it, you don't just improve order but also harmony and well-being at home without saying a single word. If you've ever entered a place and felt it was too relaxed or very active, now you know why. Playing with light temperature in your home is a smart and silent way to influence order and the attitude of those who live there. Try it and you'll notice that without doing anything else, the house feels different, more organized, and people behave in a tidier way without anyone having to ask or complain. Light commands more than you imagine. 9th, always keep an exile bag hanging behind a door. This last tip is like a lesson in discipline disguised as a simple household accessory, but trust me, it has an immediate and deep effect on how everyone begins to value order and their belongings. The exile bag is literally that, a bag, which can be an old backpack, a cloth sack, or a large sturdy fabric bag that you hang behind a less visible door. It can be the kitchen, bathroom, or hallway door, and it works as a temporary punishment place for anything someone leaves lying out of place. The idea is simple but powerful. Any object you see lying around the house, whether it's yours or someone else's, you pick it up and put it inside that bag. No leaving it where it was or half returning it. Straight to the bag. But note, the important part isn't that people lose their things forever, but that they can only recover what they left out of place once a week, on a specific day and time you determine. Outside that time, the bag stays closed and out of circulation. This system teaches several powerful things. First, that clutter has real consequences. It's not just an aesthetic issue or a cleaning problem, but means losing immediate access to your belongings. Second, that responsibility is individual. If you left something lying around, it's your job to make the effort to retrieve it. Third, that order is maintained because no one wants to waste time or energy searching through other people's things in the bag. Additionally, this bag creates positive tension in the house. No one wants to be the one who has to go rescue their phone, remote control, notebook, or clothes every week. And that fear of temporary loss drives a very quick habit change. People start picking up their things on time so they don't lose them. The best part is that this method doesn't require long explanations or arguments. It's visual, tangible, and fair. The bag is a constant reminder that order is not optional, and that the house works better when everyone does their part. It's also a way to avoid fights over clutter. Instead of complaining or arguing, you just pick up what's out of place and exile it. This eliminates conflicts and encourages cooperation without anyone feeling attacked or singled out. And to make it even more effective, establish a weekly routine to check the bag as a family event. That day, you can clean together, retrieve whatever anyone wants, and decide what to do with unclaimed items: donate, throw away, or recycle. This also teaches detachment from unnecessary things. If you have children, you'll see how they become more aware and careful with their belongings to avoid ending up in exile. Adults also quickly learn that order is not just about pleasing others, but about making daily life easier. In summary, the exile bag is a simple, cheap, and practical tool that brings order without imposing complicated rules or exhausting arguments. It's a clear and effective way to teach responsibility, respect, and care for the shared space. And the best part, it works in any home, no matter the size or number of people. So hang that bag today and get ready to see how, little by little, your home becomes a place where order is the main guest and clutter is a problem with an expiration date. I assure you, if you apply even 3 of these weird but effective methods, your home will stay organized longer and with less effort. It's not magic, it's strategy. Are you up for trying one today? If you liked these uncommon tips, leave me a comment with the number of the one that surprised you the most, and I'll see you in the next video.